You have grunts in the army, and then you have pogues in the army, but then you have the combat engineers in the army. The US Army has managed to create this classification among its culture. You have the grunt, the infantryman, but then you have the pogue, the person other than the grunt, pretty much everyone who's not infantry. But then you have the combat engineer, who's technically a pogue because he's not a grunt, but he's always doing grunt things. But as a former combat engineer, and you can ask every combat engineer ever, you're not really a pogue and you're not really a grunt, you're just your own thing. Now look, from a grunt's perspective, the infantryman, at the basic level, your job is to engage the enemy. That's your job. And the pogues are meant to support the grunts to do their job. That's supply people, that's anyone in the medical field, we're there to support the grunts. But then as a combat engineer, you're told to drive down the road, look for IEDs, and you're on your own, but then you get engaged in an ambush, and now you're directly engaging the enemy. Is that not a grunt's job? Now the thing about combat engineers, if you took a combat engineer's deployment versus an infantryman's deployment, and you were just reading what they had to go through, you would think that they're both the same exact job. But no. A combat engineer is not an infantryman, so he's not a grunt, he's a pogue. But here's where it gets even more annoying. When you're out training, pogues usually get to enjoy pogue things. I'm just gonna say it. And look, every pogue will tell you it is what it is. Sometimes you get to sleep in tents, you get pogue luxuries. But a combat engineer typically doesn't get the pogue luxuries. And from a grunt's perspective, they hate that. They take pride in being a grunt, and they hate everyone else because they have to sleep in foxholes. They're getting yelled at constantly. They're eating cold chow at 3 in the morning. And as a combat engineer, you're always sat there like, well, I kind of would like to enjoy some pogue things, but at the end of the day, I'm always doing grunt things, so it sucks to be a combat engineer. Now, I will say combat engineers are sort of in a protective class. Because combat engineers are typically in units that are with other pogue units, but because you're the combat guys, you typically do get more chances for awards, you get to go to more schools, you're sort of protected from the leadership. But at the same time, when everybody goes out for training, it's just a known thing that combat engineers, you're going to be the ones who are enduring most of the suck, while the rest of the support element is just chilling back in the tents. Now look, I'm just poking fun at the infantryman and combat engineer. At the end of the day, we go hand in hand. Combat engineers can't function without the grunts, and grunts can't function without the combat engineer. It is what it is, it's just all banter. Get over it.